We're right outside of the official April deadline for those who want to file on time. But what I want to do is really build a case for why we're not going to put that pressure on ourselves, because we have the right to file that extension. But you can file a payment with that extension. And those are really my favorite types, because we're doing two things here. We're paying our taxes when they're due, or what we think they'll be, but not waste money owing and paying taxes late when we had accounting systems in place and knew we were going to owe.
You're listening to The Money Doctor Show, where we talk about all things money for the modern entrepreneur.
And I'm your host and founder, Mildred Dillon, CPA. And you know, as a modern entrepreneur, you're not just getting up and going to sit behind a desk all day. Chances are you're probably driving right now, mapping your way to your next destination. Because you work online and your systems are mobile, you can work from anywhere. Not key punching, but scrolling through social media, creating your own posts to tell the world about your offerings and changing our futures and the world around us, one client at a time. Wow, that sounds like a lot. And it is, but we wouldn't have it any other way. And if this describes you, you're going to love what you hear on this podcast, because each and every episode is designed to give you a tip or strategy that you can use on one of those apps to get your finances in order, in good health, all while on the go. Ready to get to work? Let's go. Back to this corporate filings. We just got through the March deadline. And I want to just say this again, too. If you didn't file an extension, you're late. If you didn't file a return and you didn't file an extension, you're late. Now, you don't want to file both, so you're going to file one or the other, but you're definitely late. You want to get serious about taxes, because here's what's happening for S-Corps and partnerships who didn't do anything. You're now racking up a nice little filing late penalty up to 24 months. They're going to hit you every month now because you didn't file something. And that's really important, because those two entities, the S-Corp and the partnership, they don't pay tax, but you can end up with that penalty. So talking from experience of clients and just from the past, I know that's why I really get ahead of that. They don't pay tax. What they do, though, is give their partners and their shareholders K-1s. The K-1s now feed into those 1040s. And so think of the logic here. If you didn't give your shareholders or your partners K-1s, and you're one of these more advanced corporate entities, then you're going to cause them to not be able to file taxes. And so it's kind of if you think about it, there's a logic to that. And it's to get you to send people their stuff. Let me just talk plain on this part. Send people their stuff so they can file their taxes. And that was one of the calls that I got. It was from someone who didn't get their K-1. And we had a really nice call about that. Their homework was, you need to find out who's doing that corporate return and see what happened this year. Because look at the world that we're in right now. Things are happening. So it's possible that the systems that were in place for that organization that I'm speaking about, something is off, or somebody's behind, or they didn't get what they needed. And so now everyone else is going to be late. But yeah, you should have had your K-1s by now, or an extension, them letting you know you're not going to get your K-1s. You need to file an extension on the personal side too. And hey, again, it's all right to do that. We're right outside of the official April deadline for those who want to file on time. And we all want to file on time. But what I want to do in this episode is really build a case for why you might want to consider filing an extension, even if it's just 1 month. You know, sometimes we don't need 6 months extra time, nor should you take 6 months. Maybe you can do it in 30 more days. And I've been getting calls coming in that talk about some of the posts that they're seeing, or just even if they're listening to the podcast. Thank you for that. But here's the thing. Clients that I work with are larger businesses who've been with me for years. It's just kind of known. We're not going to put that pressure on ourselves because we have the right to file that extension. But you can file a payment with that extension. And those are really my favorite types, because we're doing two things here. We're paying our taxes when they're due, or what we think they'll be. But we're still taking that extra time to make sure. Trust me, as business owners, we don't want to overpay our taxes. And what does that mean? Pay too much when we were entitled to pay less. It's our right to pay less tax. So let's take the time to make sure. But let's also not pay penalties and interest so that we waste money owing and paying taxes late when we had accounting systems in place and knew we were going to owe. And that's another plug for the ABC accounting system setup. I really want to emphasize that. It's not too late to put that system in place. You can do it in 30 minutes. I give you a guided walkthrough of QuickBooks. But with an accounting system in place, we can look back. We can work backwards. We can go to the beginning of this year. Most of the banks, credit unions, institutions that we're linking up to software, because that's what we're doing, they go back further than that. They go back years. So if last year is maybe not done, or you're not sure about it, or you're still manual, this is what I'm telling folks who call me. Let's go ahead and get this system in place, because that's where that comfort level is going to come in, that we got everything and we're going to take advantage of all of our deductions. That's so exciting. And even especially if I'm going to be involved with a new client and they're adding stuff on a spreadsheet and they think they're going to owe tax, but they're not sure. I just have to recommend that, because we're definitely going to have something like that in place moving forward. And so since we can go backwards, why not do that? So let me switch gears. Filing an extension. Here's some things you want to think about. You don't have all of your documents, or you're just not sure, or you didn't do what's called pull a transcript to make sure you got all your documents, because that was some of the advice that I gave them. I said, if you're wondering if you got that 1099 from the sale of your property last year, they reported to IRS, you will see it on that transcript. So pull your transcript from IRS. If you think that your document is wrong, I'm seeing that more and more in the IRS publications that are coming out. And I do follow those very closely. I get notifications when there are updates. One of the things that they're really harping on is if you think your numbers are wrong. And that's true. Trust me, if you're filing an extension and you're waiting until October to file and those numbers are wrong, guess what? It's probably not going to work for you, because they're not going to go back. The payer is who they're called when they give you a 1099, or your employer, they're giving you a W-2. They're not going to go back and fix all their stuff for your thing. Probably not. Good luck with that. We've tried that in the past when I had clients that just, what's up with this number? Well, that's not right. Well, did you tell them? Well, I'm just seeing this. That's the problem. So at least look at everything. And if we need to, file the extension. Because here's what happens. If you file wrong, here's a crazy part on one of the publications I saw just recently. They're encouraging people to file without their W-2. Now, by now, you should have had your W-2s, 1099s. So they're now telling people, here's a way for you to file without those documents. But here's the, not so much fine print, but it's that last line. But if you get your W-2 and the numbers are different, you're going to need to file an amended return. Now, that's the return we want to avoid filing. We do not want to file amended returns, because now you're making them look at your return so much more closely. Like, what happened now? What you say happened? Why you need to file a return? Yeah, I'm in rare form tonight. So if there's any chance those numbers could change, that's when you want to file an extension to give you more time for the real numbers to come in, or for the real numbers to be corrected. Because yes, there are ways to correct your 1099. There are ways to correct your W-2. Let's take advantage of those so that we're not having to file amended returns and draw all of that extra attention to your return. Yes, I've been through this. Okay, I've been through this. I did this. And look, he got his money eventually, but they looked at every single number that we didn't even ask about. They looked at every single number on that return. So no, let's avoid those if at all possible. And I'll do a whole nother podcast if I need to on amended returns. Trust me. Here's when you want to file an amended return. You just need to do it. But I'm not doing that on this one. Here's another reason to file an extension. If you are married and your spouse has a business and you know they don't have it together. You know they don't have it together. I see it all the time. One spouse works a job, they want to get their refund. The other spouse has a business and full time, and they need to do all the things you hear me talking about in these podcasts. I mean, this is for modern entrepreneurs. Everything I'm talking about, I'm going to talk about it from that perspective in most cases. And yeah, you know they're not ready, but you go run and file without them. Now, unless you're filing separate, don't do that. You're going to cause you guys to need that type of return I just said you don't want to file, the amended return, because when they do go to file, that's going to change your numbers if you're filing jointly. And let's face it, you get more tax breaks and it's more favorable tax treatment when you file jointly when you're married. But if you're running off and leaving your spouse and filing without them, that's not really jointly now, is it? It's not. Plus, we don't want to set up those dynamics in the marriage, do we? Marriage is a big deal. Matter of fact, those are our most listened to podcasts, I'm noticing, when we talk about family matters. But for purposes of this podcast, check with your spouse and make sure that their numbers are ready to be included with that return. If not, that's an excellent reason to file an extension. Here's another one. I know you guys are saying, wow, she don't want to file taxes. Listen, I don't want to file taxes wrong, because that's 2 tax returns where you file an amended return. You got to go back in and start putting more numbers in. Here's what we did wrong. Now we got to go back and here's what we should have put. Here's the difference. Now explain to us why you're doing it. Okay, maybe I just already did that podcast by telling you what's involved. So no, I don't want people rushing to file. And then when they find out about this podcast later and they hear me or they see a post and they realize, oops, honey, did we include your business on the return? No, we didn't. I told you I wasn't ready. Role playing here. Guess what? That's when you absolutely, totally want to file an extension. Okay? Just take my word for it.
Yes. And oh my God, Mildred, the course was so what I needed. So I had been doing real estate investing for a year and wasn't really paying attention to the numbers, because right now they're small numbers. So wasn't really paying attention, just operating out of my hip pocket. But then due to the pandemic, I decided, okay, Charlotte, now it's time to get serious. You call yourself a real estate investor. Okay, go be a real estate investor. So I found a class. It was a community class. You pay $75. You take the course for, I think, 3 days. And they were going to teach me QuickBooks Online. Yeah, in 3 days. I went to the class and I came out of the class more confused than when I went in. I think it was more designed for the gentleman to gain clients than to really teach me what I needed. So then you and I spoke and I took your course and oh my God, the light bulbs just started going off. And I'm like, okay, this is just so easy. And the way you said, let tech do the heavy lifting.
Yes.
Yes. And that is so important. I mean, it's, when I first started budgeting way back when, it was an Excel spreadsheet.
All of us.
Yes. Yes. And now I'm trying to be, that automatic millionaire where all of my finances are like on automatic and using technology. That's what was amazing to me too. Was like, I can use QuickBooks to organize my business finances. And all I have to do is go in, set up some charts of accounts, swipe left, swipe right, run some reports, and I can analyze that data and make business decisions just like that.
What we're trying to do with this course, thanks for the plug, Charlotte. And if you go to the website, you'll see I've actually got a free preview to show you the power of you starting businesses with your money. I mean, you've got a cell phone bill anyway. Why not convert some of that to business deductions? And then we show you how to do that legally and with a paper trail. And then Charlotte says, swiping right, swiping left. That's really funny. She said that more than once.
Yes. And I've learned so much.
So there's that. Get your accounting system. You can go to www.yourmoneydr.com after the episode and check that out. ABC Accounting System Setup. Here's another big one, and I don't see this talked about often, but I can tell you I always have these conversations. Part of what I'm doing with my clients when I talk about what happened last year, even though we're not going to file about it yet, one of the things I'm doing is really filing out what is the objective for this return. Are we trying to use this return to get a loan of any kind or financing? Or do we need these returns for some kind of special program? What's the purpose of filing? It's funny, I sent out my little tax quote link and it's really quick to get through. And there are like 4 or 5 different objectives for filing. Get the IRS off my back. I want to get the largest refund I can. If you want to see that, I'll jot that in the show notes so you can see it. But yeah, the goal is to let me know before I even talk to someone, what are we trying to do with the taxes? Because it matters. Depending on if we're trying to get a loan and you're self-employed 100%, or again, if you're part of a household that has a business and that business is going to be looked at, then listen, we need more time. We need more time to pull in the lenders. We need more time for us to get together to make sure the numbers are right before we get those over to the lenders. Because even if we send new numbers, look what's happening. Well, what changed? Okay, what line was that? See, that's just causing confusion. So we want to get it together so we can help you get the loan or get the capital. It could be venture capitalists. People are lending money, but they're going to want to see numbers too in most cases before they do that. And so if you're trying to get other people's money at all, mortgage, business loan, anything, let's take some extra time to look at the numbers. I'm still having the meetings though with everyone. We're still touching base. We're still looking at last year's numbers. Okay, here's your total revenue. Let's go through it and make sure we're not including things that aren't revenue, including things that aren't sales. These are some of the things that we're still doing. Let's talk about how much we're going to pay with the extension. Yeah, these are some big drafts out of their account. I want us all to be on the same page and understand where that number's coming from. And so, yes, I'm having meetings as if I'm filing, it feels like, but it's worth it to give us more time. So again, I want to build a case for filing the extension. Ideally with a payment if we can do it, but at least give yourself that extra time. And notice I keep saying give us, because hey, I can help you out with this. I have some really neat ways to get tech involved to speed the process. So on the accounting side, you heard it, but even with taxes, I've got people now clicking and snapping and uploading their documents. They don't have to come to my office. So let's just begin to think more like the times that we're in. As I wrap up, I want to share the importance of knowing if you're a business owner or not, especially since some family businesses, couples could be listening to this. It's so important to be clear. Are you getting W-2s? Are you getting 1099s or both? Because everything stems from that. If you're getting 1099s, then that's typically when you might want to take extra time, because you've got to find the deductions to reduce 1099s. You want to get that number lower. You're going to want to make doubly sure you have all your deductions because you're going to pay tax on that. No taxes have come out. But if you're getting a W-2, it stands to reason you want to go ahead and get filed because you have money on the table. Money has come out of your check. Then, okay, I can see, let's get filed. So you can get your money back. The government is literally holding your money until they hear from you. And if they don't hear from you, you will not get your money. That's just how it goes. So that's the difference. And so if you take a look at your tax documents and see if you've got W-2s, 1099s, if you're not sure. A lot of people don't know. All they know is taxes, put it in the folder for the tax person. That's all they know. But when you hear a podcast like this, I'm hoping that I'm nudging you a little bit to go and just look at everything Make sure it makes sense. Make sure it's right. If you don't understand what you're looking at, that's where we come in. That tax quote, we'll go over it. That starts the conversation with me. I've had some people from social media reach out. That starts the process, the tax quote. And so I'll send you that link. You can check off the things that you're seeing and we can have a talk about it. Otherwise, I'm going to pick up with this, business owner or not, how you want to look at money management all year. It really does matter. And we'll talk about that in the next episode. If you know none of this applies to you and we're just poking around and not getting to it, get in gear and get filed, okay? Spring is here and summer's gonna be here. You're gonna wanna take those vacations and then back to school, and you know where I'm going with this, and it's the holidays. It's not gonna get easier to file, actually. That's why I've been doing these March Madness posts with respect to getting an accounting system. No, it's not madness to start now. This is a perfect time because it's not going to get easier. There's going to be all kinds of things going on. And I'm not even talking about what's going to happen in the world, this crazy world and economy that we're in. I'm talking about just the things we know are coming after March. This is a perfect time to do that. Plus, we can still have a system in place for payroll and start paying yourself. That message holds true. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. But if you have questions about anything like this at all, or you just want to hop on a call, you can always send us a message at our Money Doctor page, The Money Doctor, all spelled out, on Facebook. You can always reach out to me also on Instagram, Your Money DR, LinkedIn, Your Money DR, YouTube, Your Money DR, all those places. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to the podcast. Share it with your family and friends. We just appreciate your support so much. And until next time, Mildred Dillon, CPA, signing off, saying make it a great day, especially for your money. And we'll see you next episode.